Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and very obviously we're not in the garage for this one. I've come out to Italy because Ferrari invited me to drive the new Ferrari Purosangue. This new car from Ferrari that isn't an SUV. What is it? It's a sports four-door car and a big departure for Ferrari, and I decided to come out on it because the tech on this car is off the scale. It introduces a new active type of suspension. That active suspension has been promised for many times in the past. We saw it in motorsport F1 and then it got banned. You remember Lotus had it. And this car is the first application I know where it is truly active suspension. So that's why I came out to drive it, because I knew I'd have to probably wait a year or so before I could get a chance to drive one in the UK. Now, they chose a beautiful ski resort to stay in, Pinzolo. Fantastic hotel, brilliant location, except for one thing. We're the 1st of February today, and it was meant to be snow, and we were meant to be trying this car out in sort of low grit situations. As you can see, brilliant sunshine, not a lot of snow around. And so we have dived off the suggested route, and I am heading up to Cortina. If you watch Harry's Garage regularly, you'll know I took my Lotus Esprit to relive for the James Bond movie For Your Eyes Only, and there was just amazing locations up there, and it's higher than here, so I've decided to bomb up there. It's 3 hours and a bit from the hotel, but I just think that's the sort of thing that an owner of this car will be doing. He'll be going to ski resorts in Italy. It's a beautiful cable car when we get up there, and I'm hoping we might just experience on a bit of more snow up there, and there's some terrific driving roads up there as well. Come and have a look on a map. Pinzolo is where we were last night. We came out of the hotel there and we've just drifted down this road towards Trento. We're then going to dive up a bit of autostrada, because we sort of head up there quickly to get to Cortina is right over here, and there's this wiggly road, the Passo del Fraziero, we're going to go on to, because the cable car is right on the top of here and it overlooks, if I just look, Lagazzerio, there it is, up there, and it's a famous scene in that Bond movie, and it also is a just stunning location. But we're pushing our luck because we're limited time with this car, but I think we can do it. Looks great in this colour. It's the same colour as the one I reviewed when I went up to Ferrari. So electric door on the rear, if I just open that up, there you all go. That's what we've done. I've chucked my coat and things in the back. Haven't learnt a huge amount about the car so far. Its initial impressions, the suspension is very clever. You don't notice it, it doesn't feel false. It's quite hard, the seating in it, it's quiet. And you can just drift along in automatic and not know. Pop down a few gears, there's a few hairpins just up there. Oh my lord, the V12 makes the most fabulous noise. Quite a number of options on this car. Everything seems to be carbon fibre on it, all around the wheels, etc. I'm not going to do a full walk round now because I want to get up there first. As I say, we've got about 2.5 hours to go from here, but I think it's going to be worth it. Press on here. It's trying to get to learn all this in just one visit is hard, but I just press that. I can get the normal display up by going to View Max away from CarPlay and having this up. One thing it does do, it might not do it here, if I just ease off, it does this sailing, a bit like Porsche does with the Panamera, that it disengages the gearbox and you just coast, which is a bit peculiar. But I suppose it's all to do with sort of fuel saving, and I can't believe it's the most economic in terms of MPG, this car, but when I got in it did have a 580 kilometre range. It's now sitting at 526, which, yeah, I mean that's a remarkable economy, but I think that will change as we head up and end up in the mountains. I'm surprised how much wind noise there is with this. I There's a little breeze outside, but there's a fairly constant amount of wind noise coming through here because the rest of it is very hushed. There's very little road noise. We've got winter tyres on here because they're compulsory in Italy at this time of year, but the wind noise is very noticeable. It's all here. I mean, it's got double glazed windows as well. One of those. I'm going to do a noise test and just see what it is. Yeah, I did a noise test and it came out at 84, 85 decibels at 130, and it's not road noise, it's just other ambience in here, and I think it's just mainly wind noise. Overtakes here? Yes, we have. I do like also this Manettino, how you can actually change this. You've got 3 settings for the dampers, so if I go back to comfort, it goes to medium. If I go up to sport, it's in hard on the dampers. By pressing the center of the Manettino switch, I go back to medium or to soft, which is the old bumpy road. So you have these 3 variations now. I'm going to go back to soft, I think, in these conditions. Just get to start to know this car a little better. Well, I have driven it some of the bends. The active suspension is interesting because basically I haven't actually noticed, which I mean as a compliment. It just feels accomplished. This car feels light on its toes the moment you get in. I actually got in back at home for a review the Cayenne Turbo GT, and that just has this heavy feel about it from steering and then the sort of turbocharged engine and just a feeling of heft. Getting in this, my first impressions is the complete opposite. This feels light, the steering is light, the instant response to the engine, etc. And just the feel through the steering, it's typical Ferrari light steering, but it does not feel like I was expecting it to. It feels better, and the suspension has to play a part of that. This sort of remembering my time with FF, and it's very similar. I've got a good view out around here. Yeah, it's quite slippery out there. So yeah, that front axle's got a bit of work to do. Wow. I could get very used to this. In the presentation last night, made a lot of emphasis about boot space and how the cabin was more luxurious, etc. And then in the second part, they did mention the exhaust notes, and it is a very cultured V12 sound, really nice. You will always find ice sort of hiding in the shaded areas. There's lots of salt. God, this car just wants to go. Yeah, it likes revs. I was in third then, there's about 4,000, I wasn't quite enough. Try second. That's very, yeah, there we are. There's a car. Very clever rear steer on this car. Unlike other rear steer cars, it actually can steer each wheel individually. They were saying last night why they do that. It's the wheel and the load that makes the big difference. And he says 4-wheel steer conventionally works fine for a single radius corner, but if you're going left and right, it almost gets confused and it's not as good, and that's why they use this system, which actually made quite a lot of sense. Think of it as skiing. These snow tyres have not got a lot of grip. Bit of road and there's no one on it. Just what we want. Where's the cable car? There's the cable car, finally. we are here. No. Wow, it's a big queue for the cable cars. Perfect day for it. And up it goes. I don't think we've got time to go up, but it is a spectacular, as you would imagine, viewing platform if you do go up there. Oh, it's 2,117 metres. Well, that was quite a trip. We did actually try and put it on the snow there. It's where I took the Esprit. It's quite a narrow entrance, and I could just hear the snow was, it wasn't quite as hard as it was last time I was here. And I don't want to make the phone call to Ferrari and say, oh yeah, we're trying to get this extra shot of it on the snow, and it sank into the snow. So I backed off, but we got a quick photograph of it on there. This is just a spectacular place. This is the Lagozui cable car. One's just gone up there. If you're ever in this region, it's a very special cable car to take. It's open into the evenings as well. And you look down, Cortina is right down in the valley, down that way. It's only 10 miles away, but it's about half an hour to get there, because there's buses and people coming off the slopes and it gets very crowded. I'm afraid I don't think we're going to have the chance to do it. But yeah, trip over here, finally it came alive as I was climbing up here, as I had hoped. This also is in high position. This one is an option, but you can, it obviously sits higher than a regular Ferrari, but then you, instead of having raise and nose lift, if you get a Purosangue and go for lift, it does it both ends, and it gives you an extra 30mm of clearance, which is quite useful when you've got all this very expensive carbon fibre everywhere. Just other things I noticed on there, I was disappointed with that wind noise, and it's pretty restricted, the view out the back. There's a little tiny screen here, and there's big fat buttresses where you haven't got a lot of view, but on the plus side, because of it's so sculptured there, the side mirrors, you see more than perhaps you would do as a big square box. Anyway, plan of action now. There's a cable car just swapping over there. There they go. Yeah, I'd like to have been able to do that as well. Anyway, plan of action. What I'm going to do now, get back in. I'm not going to do a tour right round the car because I have done that in the past. There's a video, if you want to see a tour around the video, I'll pop it up there now. I want to just get to know this car a bit more, and then do some sort of likes and dislikes as we head back to Ferrari, back at Pianzolo, where the hotel where we're staying tonight. You have to remember, every time you start this car, it reverts to a standard sort of damper setting. Oh, tunnel. It's a very good sound, a very, very good sound. It's almost, I think, better than when you hear it in the 812 or something. Drive it, the more I'm not aware of the active suspension, which is just peculiar when it's such a groundbreaking technology. But it's just, all I'm sensing is this 2-ton 4-door Ferrari that doesn't know that's what it is. It just goes down this road as I expect a Ferrari to do, an 812. It's just got this bigger volume. Yes, I am feeling the weight. The brakes have a lot to do, but they're sharp, solid pedals, so from a driver point of view, they're just right. Absolutely precision sort of device. And the steering, the super quick steering, it's slightly slightly heavier than I remember the 812, but still on the light side, but just honest. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it's a fun thing to drive on a road like this. I think it's time I went through some likes and dislikes, I suppose, of this car. Dislikes. The price. That's a sharp intake of breath. 314,000 before options. That's a big step up if you've been in the market for FF or Lusso or something. So yeah, that takes some doing. I'm trying to justify it in my head. I suppose what you got to think that a lot of Ferrari owners will have a Cayenne, Range Rover, something that they do general duties with. Well, I can see this one where you're just going to take this. So you get a Ferrari wrapped up in an everyday sort of car. So that's a big positive. Size, I suppose, it just feels big, but that's all cars today, really. This just things that some of these little lanes, I think, oh, I wish they were a little bit narrower, but you've got that four-wheel steer, etc., to help in parking situations. Another one, the layout. This, I do not get on with this system. It is not intuitive as I would like. And I'm doing too many false sort of brushes on it and thinking, oh, are you just going to work or not? And that shouldn't be happening on a car of this stature. Others have the way you control it with a wheel or something, and it just seems to work much better than this does. Visibility in the back view, well, me as a driver, I've got quite a little window to look out of. And then if you are sitting in the back, the windows are really quite high. It's quite enclosed in the back. If you put a kid with a child seat on, I don't think they'll be able to look out the window. Kids don't often like that. Wind noise on the motorway, I would have thought it a little bit more refined. I've sort of calmed down about it now. I've experienced it up here, but it was there was more rustle around this A-pillar in particular than I would expect of a car like this. And there is a rattle somewhere in the dash here, and there's this huge volume stretching out to where the windscreen is. It's quite unnerving how far out it is, and I keep noticing the top of the wiper blade has got this peculiar bit on it that is on your sight line. I can see the two wings either side, but there's this lump of plastic that doesn't look very £314,000 Ferrari to me. Let's move on to some likes. The engine. Oh, did I mention the engine? That V12 engine. Normally aspirated, strong, no bad point. From the moment from tick over to the cutout, it just delivers. And it's just the soundtrack. It's almost worth the money alone. It's so peculiar in a car like this that it is so tuneful, so playful, so powerful. Oh, it makes the car. Just makes it, and it puts everything like Cayennes or these high boost engines into the shade. You just forget them. You've got this to enjoy. It does move it to a different class, but then we have to remember it's not a true 4x4. It's only putting power to the front when required. So I need to get slip at the rear before it does it, and that's not quite true. It will also tug you out of corners and things like that as well, and it will also add four-wheel drive. Say if I'm in reverse and I'm trying, and it's a slippery slope, obviously the front gearboxes will engage as well. So it's truly a 3-speed gearbox on the front because it's got 1-2 speeds and then a reverse gear. I like the way I've got that lift as well. That will go up to 80 kilometres an hour. I think that's a good thing. No one's going to go off-road with it. Don't panic, Ferrari, but it's just a useful thing to have on a car like this. It just adds to the usability. And the way the seats fold and they're looking at bike racks and that sort of thing. And also, yeah, there was a great sound system in here. We had a demonstration last night, 21 speaker. It's not even, it's standard with the car. This is the one good thing, I suppose, at that price point. Another light with this car, MPG seems to be really good, weirdly. I've done 300 kilometres in it and I've still got a range of 192 left, even though I've been hammering around the mountains. That's good. But overall, I actually really like the looks as well. It shrunk compared to what you think it might. It is big for a Ferrari, but you put it next to some other cars of this genre and it's, you know, it's shrunk. Have a look at a Cullinan or something. And actually, I suppose I ought to mention the Urus here. What I like most about this car, it's almost a ground-up rethink of this sort of car because of that suspension. Yes, we've seen that drivetrain on FF and Lusso, but this is a completely different take. They always annoyed me, Lusso, when I've thought about owning one, because I ended up just using it as a two-person car because it's awkward to get in and out of the back, and there wasn't any space to put anything in it really. We went on a ski holiday and it was jam-packed, and we packed as light as we could. This is significantly more usable, and I really like that about it. But the suspension is just groundbreaking because I have no roll. It adds this dynamism feel, that rear steer just taking us around now. It's a horrible sort of low mew corner, downhill, and it just felt super nimble. And this is a 2.1 ton car. So they've done something here, Ferrari. Really have. It's a different take. I can see why they're all sold out. They're not taking any more orders for this car. They say it'll be 20% of their production, even at that giant price. So yeah, I've enjoyed my time in it. I hope you've enjoyed this video as well. You've learned something about the new Ferrari Purosangue. If you have, well, please keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.